9 a.m., Friday morning, March 14th, 2031. 12 incredibly smart people shuffle into the room, knowing that today may just be the day. The day they've been working years, decades towards. The day when the last invention humanity need ever make comes into being. The energy of the room holds a tangible excitement, but also a deep focus. A focus on the historical weight of this moment. A focus on controlling the unfathomable risk of what they are about to do. This is the team at DeepMind, a subsidiary of Google who, since 2010, have been dedicated to the goal of solving intelligence. Today, they find out if they have. See, what they've created is an artificial intelligence, or AI, which they've named Alpha. Now, Alpha has been designed to be extraordinary at one task: programming AI systems. In other words, they've built a computer program designed to figure out how to build a smarter version of itself. And just think about that for a moment. If you have a computer which learns how to make itself better, well, then it becomes better at learning how to make itself better, which then makes it even better at making itself better. And so Alpha is designed to get smarter and smarter, faster and faster, if it actually works. Because of course, creating such an AI is ridiculously hard, which is why, despite some of the brightest minds in the world having worked so hard for so long up until now, March 24th, 2031, such an AI has not existed up until now. At 9:37, the team switch on Alpha, and off it goes. Initially, Alpha is pretty dumb, but not for long. The team have uploaded a copy of much of the internet for Alpha to get reading, which it does in a fraction of a second. Now, armed with the whole of Wikipedia and then some more, Alpha knows a lot. But of course, the internet doesn't know how to create a super intelligent AI, so Alpha is going to have to do some of the heavy lifting itself. Nevertheless, processing all of this information, Alpha is learning, and fast. By 10 a.m., it's already redesigned itself. Still not as smart as a human, but getting there. By lunchtime, the team are flabbergasted. 5 more redesigns, and Alpha has blown their most optimistic predictions out of the water. Alpha is already 4 times more intelligent than a human. Let me pause the story there for now and ask, what does this mean for a machine to be smarter than a human? Well, there's 2 ways that this smartness can be manifested. Firstly, in a computer, signals move at the speed of light, whereas signals between neurons in the human brain travel at a mere 100 meters per second. So along with the fact that machines don't have that physical size constraint that a human brain obviously has, this means machines have the potential to process a lot more information than a human. There's more space for more signals, and they move a hell of a lot faster. But the second aspect of smartness concerns something called general intelligence. And this is the ability to perform any intellectual task. Now, we know that computers are already smarter than us at certain narrow domains, like multiplying 2 numbers together. Your calculator can work out 45 times 37 much faster than you can. But general intelligence, well, that includes so much more. The ability to reason, to plan, to think abstractly, to comprehend complex ideas. and most importantly, the ability to learn. And the reason that learning is so important is that once a machine becomes just a little bit smarter than us, and it can very quickly accelerate to becoming 100 times, 1,000,000 times, 1,000,000,000,000 times smarter than us. Why? How? Because it can learn to improve itself more rapidly than our tiny minds can possibly comprehend. Being smarter than us means it knows how to learn better than we do. And being a computer without our physical constraints means that all the information processing involved with getting smarter becomes so much quicker. Which begs the question, doesn't it? Once a machine achieves general intelligence and becomes smarter than humanity, and then becomes super intelligent, trillions of times smarter than us, what on earth happens next? Let me set the scene for the answer to that question. I'm sure you've been wondering, well, what is Life 3.0? Well, the logical place to start is with Life 1.0. So Life 1.0 is something that's unable to design its software or its hardware through its lifetime. And you can think of this as simple biological life like a bacteria. So a bacteria, well, it doesn't learn anything new once it's born, so that's its software, and it maintains the same physical structure throughout its life, its hardware. So a simple life form like this, it can only change through the process of evolution across numerous generations. Life 2.0 still can't change its hardware, but can redesign much of its software. And yet humans, we fall into this category. We can learn complex new skills and fundamentally update our worldview and goals, but we remain bound by our biological hardware. Even if we figure out how a more intelligent brain could work, we can't physically upgrade our brains and bodies. Which brings us to Life 3.0, a form of life which can design both its software and its hardware. It's free from the shackles of biology. It doesn't need to evolve across generations. It can improve itself virtually without limit, while remaining the same single life form. Now, Life 3.0 doesn't exist right now, don't you worry. But if humanity invents a super intelligent AI, it will be Life 3.0, as much of an upgrade on us as we are on single-celled organisms. Maybe even more of an upgrade. And so perhaps you can see now that an AI can quickly become millions of times smarter than humans. It doesn't need to trawl through that slow, gradual process of evolution. It evolves itself as it pleases at a pace we can't really grapple with. So back to that question then. What happens when we get to Life 3.0, artificial general intelligence, to an AI that's 1,000,000,000,000 times smarter than humanity? Here are a few quotes I quite like. Humans will become as irrelevant as cockroaches. Well, that's good, isn't it? That was Marshall Brain who said that, the entrepreneur and author. Here's another. The first ultra-intelligent machine is the last invention that man need ever make, provided that the machine is docile enough to tell us how to keep it under control. That's a bit more optimistic, but with a stark warning. Irving Good said that way back in 1965. And here's one more. Technology is giving life the potential to flourish like never before, or to self-destruct. Which I think nicely sums up the fact that, in a nutshell, machine superintelligence could be really good or really bad. let's unpack those ideas in a little bit more detail. Imagine a scale of intelligence, this side being the least intelligent life form, and this side being the most intelligent life form. Now down here, you've got ants. Their brains aren't too big. Slightly further up, you've got chimpanzees. And then further up still, you've got humans. Now, a super intelligent AI won't be here, or even here. It will be miles and miles and miles in that direction. Think about it. If humans can dominate all of life on Earth with just this tiny gap between us and chimpanzees and ants, then how much could AI dominate us when it's all the way out there? Suddenly, humans being as irrelevant as cockroaches seems like the understatement of the century. Okay, so the super intelligent AI can do whatever it wants. But what does it want? If it was designed to serve humans, then yes, surely life on Earth would flourish. Certainly it could cure all cancer, reverse human aging, make us any product we wanted at virtually zero cost. And it could probably do so much more than that too. And we're just not imaginative enough to think of all the possibilities. But if it had some ulterior motive, we'd be toast in a fraction of a second. Certainly, it could probably design and manufacture billions of tiny robot rockets and kill us all in an instant, if that was what it wanted. Therefore, what really decides the outcome of a super intelligent AI is the goals we set for it. Let me paint you a picture. Say humans invent a super intelligent machine with the goal of making humans smile. Now, wouldn't that be great if we had a machine that could figure out how we could all be as happy as possible? Here's how that one might pan out. With its initial capabilities, the AI learns how to create funny videos which make humans unable to hold back a giggle. Ah, great. And then as the AI becomes more and more powerful and intelligent, it realizes that there's a more efficient way of achieving that goal of making humans smile. Stick electrodes into the facial muscles of humans so that they live out the rest of their days with a constant beaming grin they are powerless to change. Ah, not quite what we had in mind. And so here lies the danger. If we design an AI with the wrong goal, we could very quickly find ourselves with some serious unintended consequences. Now you might ask, well, surely if the AI starts misbehaving, we can just flick the switch, cut the power. Let me put it this way. Can we flick the switch to the internet? Why didn't chimpanzees flick the switch to humanity before we took over the world and plundered their environment? A super intelligent machine, remember, is life 3.0. It's all the way out there. It's not tied to a single physical hardware. It can be anywhere, everywhere, and it will dominate us. No doubt it would be smart enough to avoid being switched off by us tiny humans. And so, setting the right goals for the AI before we switch it on is, I believe, one of the most pressing issues of our time. Cast your mind back to that story I opened with. What goal did the team at DeepMind set for their AI Alpha? And how did they decide? Was there a global democratic process to agree on what important human goal an AI should fulfill? Or was it, the wider community of AI researchers who came to some consensus? Was it just the 12 of them who decided amongst themselves? Or was it just one person, the boss, who made the final call. Would you trust a team of computer scientists to decide what Life 3.0 ultimately exists to do? As we discussed, superintelligent AI could be really good or really bad for humanity. And I believe this is just too important for a few smart people to decide. For AI to be safe, we all need to be doing a lot of thinking about this. Now, thankfully, there are people who are thinking about this. The so-called beneficial AI movement began about 6 years ago with AI researchers across the world coming together and agreeing that AI safety research must be an inseparable part of the development of AI technology. There was a consensus that figuring out how to minimize the risk of AI creating a bad outcome is of vital importance. And this has spawned the revival of some classic philosophical debates. Suddenly, understanding the meaning of life and what it really means for humanity to thrive are questions needing an urgent answer. Let's return once more to that story of the DeepMind team switching on their AI, Alpha. By lunchtime, if you recall, Alpha had become 4 times as smart as a human. No doubt it would quickly accelerate to a superintelligence that could dominate humanity. So what does happen next in that story? Does Alpha wipe out humanity because we inadvertently set it the wrong goal? Or does Alpha help humanity to thrive like never before? What does that look like? What do you want to happen next? I think this is the most important question. What does human thriving mean to you? Is it a world where we're each able to live out our own unique purpose? Is it a world where we never have to work again and we live out the rest of our days in luxury? Do we live forever? Do we set out to explore the mysteries of the universe? Do we sit around in a permanent state of bliss, but without having to lift a finger to do it? A superintelligent AI or Life 3.0 could help us do anything. If, of course, we set it the right goals to get there. But assuming we do, what outcome do we want? Now, I think it's up to each and every one of us to decide. All of this is stupendously exciting and also fills me with trepidation. But it's up to everyone to have their say on the AI future we want. Because if we don't decide, someone else will make that choice for us. So I'd urge you to really give this some thought and to talk about it, have that discussion with people. I'll leave you then one final time with that question. In a future where anything is possible, what does it mean for humans to thrive? Thank you very much.